Would you like to introduce yourself to the group?
Nicolas Cage graces Renfield with a vampire portrayal for the ages. Sadly, outside of Cageula, or is it Dracula-Cage, it's a movie that's sloppy in both rewarding and frustrating ways. The good news is a cartoonish amount of carnage that explodes red juices like Capri Sun pouches attached to lit dynamite. The bad is a wishy-washy consistency when it comes to its sense of humor. Renfield is an action horror comedy about toxic relationships and codependency that never manages to unify the subgenres that fight against one another within it, but still entertains thanks to an ensemble cast having too much fun.
Mr. Renfield, welcome. I am Dracula.
The Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman provided the original idea for Renfield that would become Ryan Ridley's script, finding comedy in Dracula and his famous familiar's insanely unhealthy relationship. Nicholas Hoult plays an endearing weirdo as the movie's namesake, Renfield.
Bless you, Mr. Renfield.
Oh, God bless you, nuns.
A depressed fellow in an abusive relationship with his blood-sucking master. The movie operates with an early 2000s mentality. It's not about finding rationale in why Renfield gains superpowers from eating bugs or other mythological shifts from the source material, but rather in appreciating the zaniness that spins out of control. Renfield and Dracula end up in modern New Orleans, caught between the Lobo crime family and a tenacious police officer, and it turns out to be a perfect location for sinners and saints to reveal themselves.
Yeah, I would wear this shit. This fly, yeah.
There's plenty of Universal monster love and reverence in Renfield as it recreates sequences of the 1931 black and white classic Dracula starring Bela Lugosi, except with Cage and Hoult. Director Chris McKay didn't make a straightforward supernatural horror film, but leaned mightily into gothic vampire aesthetics, such as Dracula's top hat and cape costume, his throne of blood pouches, and the grimy nature of the Count's lightless hideaway. Renfield's pale, ghostly complexion and Dracula's increasingly damaged evolutions with missing skin patches don't undersell vampire grotesqueries. It's never a scary film, yet McKay does well injecting rich horror vibes throughout its DNA, like Dracula's baddie transformation or speedy smoke monster mode. As mentioned, Nicolas Cage slays countless scenes as Dracula, who has the Lothario charms of hypnotizing innocence, the madness of a god creature sick of hiding behind shadows, and a craziness in his eyes we've seen from the most committed of Cage's performances.
I am known simply as
Renfield's boss.
He's an alpha Dracula who could fit into Universal's earliest horror classics, or Bram Stoker's Dracula, or Interview with a Vampire. He's got hints of vampiric personality from them all.
You will make a very good assistant.
What doesn't work as well are jumbled subplots that butt heads as tones collide. Rebecca is the beat cop who lives to uphold her murdered father's pristine reputation amidst a dirty force, which sees the usually hilarious Awkwafina stuck with a less enthusiastic police procedural arc that doesn't always come together. Hoult himself sports rave-worthy chemistry with Cage, but solo shopping montages or evolutions of widespread therapy speak never produce the brilliant Dracula retelling from a psychiatrist's perspective that the trailer got hopes up for.
Okay, obviously we're dealing with a little bit more than just narcissism here.
There are some standout moments scattered throughout. Look no further than Ben Schwartz stealing scenes as a mama's boy Scarface meets Jean-Ralphio from Parks and Recreation. McKay just struggles to find any stability in this scattershot journey.
Blaming innocent victims.
What does work is the surprisingly gruesome level of violence on display from the very first decapitation, when a supercharged, spider-fed Renfield punches a head off like something out of Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. This appropriately sets expectations. McKay's special effects department goes ham, adding ungodly amounts of spilled blood as Renfield pulverizes Lobo baddies or Dracula carves through dinner, though it would have been nice if those splatters could have been more practical. That said, the digital bloodiness adds a diabolical, cartoonish accent. Hoult becomes somewhat of an action star as Renfield leaps around a restaurant shootout, severing arms with decorative serving platters, going above and beyond as a vampire action movie with a lead as this acrobatic ass-kicking assassin. Cinematographer Mitchell Amudson's brand of frantic, shaky cam bouncing doesn't do it a whole lot of favors, but still, it's not bad enough to eviscerate things out excitement. It's not as distracting as it was in Snake Eyes' G.I. Joe Origins. Throughout it all, Renfield is a better horror tribute than it is an action spectacle. However, it's still a better action spectacle than it is a quirky partnership comedy, and in turn, it's a better quirky partnership comedy than it is a criminal thriller. And yet, nothing in any of those aspects is damning enough to break Cage's stranglehold on the screen, and Hoult, Awkwafina, Schwartz, and Sheree Agdashlu as the Lobo matriarch also score their highlights.
Are you okay?
I need to get out of a toxic relationship.
If you're here for Nicolas Cage as an over-the-top Count Dracula, Renfield does not disappoint. The ultimate gratification that comes from a vampire splatterfest centered around one of our generation's greatest character actors becoming a horror icon is what endures. Nicholas Hoult lives his best oddball life as the wayward title character and warms our heart as he aims to reclaim his independence. But the overall hodgepodge of concepts that stems from Renfield's emotional journey never fully come together. At just 90 minutes, there are simply too many ideas vying for importance, and few get the proper attention to be anything more than mindless, bloodlusting entertainment. And you know what? That's just fine and dandy for Renfield.
It's my least favorite part of the job.
For more, check out our reviews of Evil Dead Rise and Scream 6. And for everything else, stick with IGN.